What's up, guys? How's it going? Hey, thanks for joining us here tonight. Hey, we're just going to go over some stuff real quick. We're going to give you tips on how to be successful, right? In business, in life. No matter where you're at in life, no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be stuff that's going to come up. And so I figured we'd just talk about that for a little bit. So thanks for joining us. Hey, make sure you guys are checking in here. If you got questions, post them. We're going to be going over like 10 things here, 10 tips on what people do all the time, whether it's your business, it's your health, it's your love life. And we're just going to go through them right now, okay? So, for instance, 10 things people do all the time. I know unfortunately, I have been subject to these things and I do them. But the problem is, what you want to do is you want to figure out the solution to your problem, right? So there's always going to be solutions, right? Solutions or problems are inevitable. And most people give up when life gets too tough or they get too many no's. But here, let's just start off. Thinking that the world owes you something is something that will make you fail. I'll just say it. You're going to fail if you take the mentality of that you're a victim, that you always ask the question, why? Why did this happen to me? The obvious problem with this thinking is that it scripts you and it makes you entitled to what people think, and you need something or you have to give something because of your very existence, right? So just because you're here on this planet, for some reason people think that you deserve something. But understand that, to me, even if you could get past the thinking and establish it to be true, you still are controlled by the world, right? So to me, you never get something for free. There's no such thing as a free lunch, okay? And the world, it'll have control on you if you let that happen, okay? So don't play the victim role. Don't do it. It's just self-destructive. So you never get something, right? You never get something for free, whether it's business or anything. There's some sort of cost to it, right? Everything has a cost. So if I find myself starting to worry myself, or that I'm not getting what's due to me, or you feel like, hey, I deserve this promotion, or you know what, this person dumped me and I don't understand what's going on. You internalize and ask yourself the question, hey, what did I do to get this subpar result? Most likely it's subpar performance, right? So ask yourself, what are you missing? What decisions did you make that led you to that result? And the more you can be honest with yourself, the more you can understand really what the problem is. And don't take that woe is me victim mentality. We need more leaders in the world, and we don't need people running around acting like a victim, right? So here's your solution. I won't leave you hanging, I promise. When you find yourself in that mentality, the best thing to do is get in motion. Start getting action, right? Start doing things for other people. Find people that have a need and fill it. It's really that simple. And once you start doing that, your mind will shift from being so focused on yourself to focusing on other people. So it'll refocus your mind. Another thing that people do, number 2, is lack of gratitude. And really all that really means is that you really don't understand the circumstances that you have, right? So it's easy to get down on yourself or on other people's when things don't go your way, or maybe there's a series of events that happened. They always say bad things happen in threes, right? So what I hear from a lot of people who are struggling, they ask why me? They take the victim mentality. And of course, this happened to happen to me. And I got too many no's. People don't like it. People don't like me. People don't like my product or my service. But remember that your mind picks out a belief, and then it specifically looks at everything, and your subconscious mind will take that belief, whether it's true or false. It can't distinguish true or false. All it does is it'll react to what you believe or what you hear, what you tell it. So for instance, if you bought a car And say you bought a silver Nissan, right? And all of a sudden you drive it off the lot, you start seeing all these silver Nissans everywhere. And that's because your mind is focused on the silver Nissan, right? Like you've been driving your truck around the whole time and you never noticed the silver Nissan because you just weren't thinking about it. But all of a sudden you bought one, you're driving one, and all of a sudden they're everywhere. It's just a trick that your mind does because it's focused on one thing, and you start to see, you become less aware of it. Okay, so now that you're aware, the solution is to start counting your blessings and be thankful. Look around, see the positive in your life, right? Like no matter what you're going through, negatively, there's always going to be a positive to it, right? So every problem has a solution. I got my coffee. Just be happy and thankful for what you got. That's the best way, and get in action to get out of the lack of gratitude. The third thing is lack of self-control is one thing that will definitely kill your business, or it'll kill your love life or your health or whatever it is. Okay. So we probably all seen the celebrities, you know, they're running around shaving their heads and hitting cars with umbrellas and things like that. But you got to understand, we're all capable of this, right? Like it's not just prone to celebrities or things like that, but to some degree, there is a large amount of people, especially in the United States, that abuse alcohol and drugs. And so if that's you, and I think this gets overlooked a lot, to be honest with you. I think that there's a substantial amount of people that do it. And so let's just talk about it, right? So, hey, if you are one of those people that is using alcohol, which is probably everyone over 21, right? Probably the vast majority of us. If it's something that's holding you back, if it's something that's not making you productive, I ask that you check yourself, right? Put a accountability in your life for something like that, because it's an easy trap to fall into of drinking too much, abusing alcohol or drugs. I have to personally check myself. I know that for sure. I made it a goal not to drink for this year, and I haven't drank since December. That's been like 7 months. And I did it because I didn't like the way it made me feel, right? Like I woke up feeling like crap, and I went to bed feeling terrible, and it wasn't making me productive. I woke up in the morning not wanting to do anything, right? You're just all lazy. So if you're cutting out things in your life that are going to make you more productive, and if alcohol or drugs is one of those things, you need to knock it out, right? Because of lack of self-control. So set limits for yourself, okay? Get an accountability partner, get professional help if you need it. Set goals and stick to them, right? So if you need to replace a bad habit, if drinking is a bad habit, maybe replace it with coffee. That's what I did. I think oftentimes people make mountains out of molehills. And it's pretty obvious to see why that sort of happens. I think in our day and age with the TV and the internet and every variation of it, there's all these reality TV shows, right? We all know what we're talking about, The Bachelor, Bachelorette. I'm not saying those shows are bad, not by any means. But I think it gives us an unrealistic view of what people and business is like, right? So making problems bigger and issues bigger than they need to be is something that's gonna tear you up. It's gonna tear you apart, okay? Whether it's in business or life. And everything we're talking about here is business and life. So that's what we're talking about. So creating drama and over exaggerating things is one thing, and causing gossip and things like that. It's just destructive. Like it doesn't help anything, right? So the solution would probably be stop and think about the purpose of the problem. And if it's escalating into a problem, ask yourself, is it in line with what you want? Okay, don't indulge or exaggerate your feelings or the gravity of the situation. For instance, you lose a client, you lose a customer, or you lose a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It's really not the end of the world, right? Like, you can overreact like it might be, but let's be honest with ourselves and be true to ourselves and say, hey, you know what? Get your grieving over, right? Do what you need to do, but don't overreact, okay? Deal with the problem and move on. Don't overthink it. If you're wasting energy adding all this drama to your life, you're wasting time and energy that could be spent on something that could make you more productive or successful, right? Whether it's business or whatever. Another big thing is, I think that people don't often understand or they overlook, is that holding grudges is something, especially if we're going to talk about business, because business is mostly about relationships. And if you're holding grudges, it's like grudges are like this disgusting thing that grows inside you, and it's like a bacteria, and it just gets infected, and it's nasty, right? And it just makes you bitter and unhappy. So the biggest thing to do, like, there's a quote here, let me read it. Holding a grudge against someone is like holding a hot iron, intending to throw it at someone else. So if you can like picture that, right? Like, for some reason my mind went to like Little House on the Prairie. I don't know if you guys know what that is. But I picture this lady holding a hot iron, right, above her head, ready to throw it at Michael Linden. Right, so the solution is what? This isn't probably an easy one. It's forgiveness, right? Like letting go of the past and looking forward to the future. I know it's so much easier said than done, but let's not dwell on the past. Instead, look to the future and change the future, right? I heard the most successful people view life in two different ways, in the present and in the future. They don't look back to the past, right, for something negative. So let's see here. You're always going to get treated badly, right? Like, that's just a given. So going into things, just understand it's going to happen and do your best to give forgiveness out, right? Because we know it's coming. Like, you know it's going to happen. It's inevitable. We're all human. We're all broken down, right? So I think that people who don't take responsibility for their actions is what really is going to kill you in business and in relationships. Because it's one thing that, again, it focuses the attention outward rather than looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, what did I do? Taking that victim mentality we talked about, you know what I mean? And saying, what did, it's all their fault. What did, I didn't do anything wrong. But obviously the solution is look at what you can do different to get a different result, right? Don't blame others. Take responsibility, and you'll see it. Like, in the best leaders, look around and see the people that you look up to, and you'll see that in some situation, well, most situations, when something negative happens, what do? How's their reaction, right? Whether you're watching basketball or the CEO of a corporation, they're going to step up and say, hey, you know what? This is my fault. Even when it's not their fault. Like, like everyone knows it's not their fault. Like, they didn't do that certain thing, or they didn't make this situation happen directly, but they do it because they don't blame others for the problems. They take responsibility. And you'll see it like in successful people, or if you watch the interviews after a basketball game or football game, the captain always says, oh, it's my fault, right? The quarterback's always like, oh, it's my fault. I should have thrown a touchdown on every pass. I know we talked about it earlier too, about gossiping, talking good about people, but let's try to do something different. Let's flip the script and let's do reverse gossiping, right? That's one of our mottos, is talking good about people behind their backs rather than talking negative, right? Gossip is something that, like holding grudges, is like a nasty bacteria that is just going to rot and infest in relationships and businesses, right? Like it does no good whatsoever. Um, Obviously, the solution is when you have the urge to talk about someone behind their backs, take a second, like be like, hey, how would I feel if this person was, if I was the person being talked about, right? Imagine if like they were in the room. Like, how would you talk differently? Right? Like the whole WWJD thing. Like, what would Jesus do? Like, what would you do if you were in the room and people were talking about you like that? Right? Like, how would that make you feel? You know what I mean? And I think going back to the drama issue too, it's like we hear all this stuff all the time, and we love to, especially we love to make things dramatic. Like it doesn't matter who you are, like we love it, right? Like the news does it. We see it every day on the news. Everything's hyped up, right? But how would you feel if like people were talking about you? And let's be true. Let's be honest. Like the people that talk about other people behind their backs, most likely they're talking about you behind your back as well, right? Like what makes you so special that they're not talking about you, you know? So hey, keep your heads up. We're almost done. All right. What's the solution? Talk good about people, right? Reverse gossip. The answer is probably how you should proceed. You know what I mean? So one of the last things about things that will kill your business, right, or make you the best in your business, is stop complaining. Like no one likes complaining. Like even my 5-year-old, he doesn't like it when his sister complains. Like he can't stand being around his sister when she's complaining, right? Like no one likes to hear negativity. Like it's just disgusting. So one of the solutions to get to get rid of that is understanding that complaining doesn't do anything positive. You know what I mean? So what can you do instead of making something negative? So if you're constantly complaining, people will lose respect for you. It's just a given, and they're not going to want to be around you. And the only people that want to be around complainers are other complainers. So if you don't know who the complainer is in the room, it's probably you. Try to refocus, okay, your energy from complaining, because let's be honest, it takes the same amount of energy to complain than to look for the good or look for a solution to the problem. You know what I mean? So let's be honest, let's be a light instead of being in the darkness. I think MLK said that, the dark can't bring the dark, what do you say? The dark can't bring out the darkness, only light can bring light to the darkness. So yeah, so make sure you're the light, you know what I mean? Easier said than done, I get it. But hey, that's one way to take care of business. We talked about it too, getting stuck in the past, right? Successful people see life in two ways. They see it in the present and they see it in the future. And too many of us get stuck in the present, right? Hey, what's up? Hey, we get stuck in the past because, like we talked about, everything gets so dramatic, right? And we love to overreact to things. And people are like, "Oh, I'm not a forward thinker," or I'm only as good as my last deal, or I'm only as good as my last relationship. But it's okay to constantly reinvent yourself, right? Like understand that to improve, like Steve Jobs did with Apple, like he kept improving and looking forward to the future, understanding that change was inevitable, right, for his customers and his competition. Like he had to keep reinventing the iPhone, right? What is it? iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 now? Yeah, because he understood that, hey, I'm not going to get stuck in the past. Imagine if we all had iPhone 1s right now, right? Like not even my kids use iPhone 1s. They use iPhone 4s for games, right? So look forward to the future. It's a good thing. Not finishing what you started. That's a big one too, right? Not following through. People are always like, you know what I mean? They're always like, yeah, I can start something. But rarely, it's hard to find people that actually finish and follow through. And if you're one of the people that can't follow through, I'll tell you, I'm good at starting stuff. It's so hard for me to finish stuff. Like I could start a million different projects tomorrow, but finishing them is like a whole new story. So let's do this. Let's commit to the process. And if you don't have one, make one or commit to the process. Okay. Start making it, right? Like there's no better time to start right now, right? I think there's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The best time to plant was 20 years ago, right? Like it's being prepared and it's following through. So understand time is valuable and it's one of the only limited resources we have. Right? Like money will come and go, people will come and go, but time there's a finite amount of time. So take advantage of it and follow through and finish what you start. Don't run around life half cocked. You know what I mean? Because if you never finish anything, then what's the point of starting it, you know? So anyways, fun with you guys. Hey, if you have questions, you can post them below and we'll answer them. Thanks for sharing your night with me. And it's Friday. I know it's Friday and you guys are probably having fun without me. But hey, I'm in the office still. It's 9 o'clock almost. And we're getting things done because we never give up and we follow through. You feel me?